In Cape Town, a small group protests against a ballet they claim is staged by a touring company associated with Russia. The Ukraine Association is lobbying South Africans to see Russia's invasion of Ukraine from their perspective. They want a cultural boycott.
If all people here use their voices to stand against the violence, to stand against oppression, this war would stop. There is a connection between supporting Russian culture and killing Ukrainian civilians.
South Africa's stated policy of non-alignment in the Ukrainian conflict has been tested by a series of events which has split opinion. On the one side, there are those who actively support Vladimir Putin's Russia. This includes South Africa's former president, Jacob Zuma. 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 is the controversial spokesperson for the Zuma Foundation.
The connection between South Africa and Soviet, now Russia, continues to be strong. When South Africa needed help, they also gave them guns so that they're able to fight the struggle. So yeah, indeed, the connection is very deep.
Zuma's relationship with Putin is also personal.
I appreciate your time. I know you are.
In this video, Zuma reminisces about how Putin saved him from an awful death.
And I knew that my friend, who was a president at that time in his country, would be the only one in the country that will assist him. He sent doctors. There were 3 types of different poisons that were put to me together.
For investigative legal journalist Karen Mourn, this first-hand account is a useful way to understand South Africa's approach to Russia under Zuma's presidency.
The fact that Jacob Zuma received this so-called life-saving treatment literally within days of South Africa signing that unlawful nuclear deal with 𝗀𝗏𝗃, the Russian nuclear agency, speaks to the kind of powerful hold, I would argue, Putin has on him.
Karen has written a book about the failed nuclear deal. It exposes one of the roles that Russia would like to play in South Africa as a supplier of nuclear technology. Do you think that Zuma is trying to extend Russia's influence in South Africa?
Absolutely. What I find so frightening within that book was to see how Kremlin intelligence had infiltrated the South African environment.
Zuma's legal challenges are squarely on Karen's reporting beat, including his performance at the Zondo Commission on State Capture, set up to probe the rot in the South African establishment. In July 2021, the Constitutional Court sentenced former President Jacob Zuma to 15 months behind bars for walking out and defying the Zondo Commission. 2 months later, he was controversially released on medical parole. That decision was contested from day one. And 2 years later, we're back here, where the Constitutional Court has confirmed the decision to release him on medical parole was unlawful. But 𝗀𝗃𝗀 says there's no need for Jacob Zuma to go back to prison. The sentence was served on the other side of the bars while he was on parole.
What that Constitutional Court did was a very hateful sentence that they gave to President Zuma. But be that as it may, he respected the law, he handed himself over, and he served his time.
Zuma's critics say he must go back to jail. In the meantime, the outdoor prisoner is a step ahead. Before the prospect of the former president returning to jail even hit the Twitterverse, Jacob Zuma took off, hightailing it to Zimbabwe and then Russia. Once again, Zuma has gone to Russia for medical treatment. Officially, he will only return to South Africa once he gets the green light from Russian doctors. What is wrong with former President Jacob Zuma, medically speaking?
No, I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't be able to do that. Even if I did know, it would not be my business to go around sharing his medical issues with the world.
Why does Mr. Zuma need to go for medical treatment in Russia?
We don't trust that when President Zuma is in these facilities that he will be safe. President Zuma has got too many enemies.
So you're saying that if former President Zuma was treated in a South African hospital, the people in the medical fraternity might try to kill him?
Yeah, you can't rule that out, yes.
In conversations with other sources, we learned that Zuma might also seek a meeting with Putin.
Yeah, so what's wrong with that? So President Zuma and President Putin go back a long way. The men have got a very long-standing relationship.
Speaking from Russia, a pro-Kremlin analyst, Dr. 𝗀𝗫𝗃, was able to fill us in further about the South Africa-Russia axis.
Vladimir Putin comes from Soviet elite. And during Soviet time, Soviet Union assisted much to African countries. There was idea of internationalism, idea of solidarity, and Russia provided a lot of different types of food, money, etc. And now Russia back to this kind of agenda to support African countries. Soviet Union supported struggle against Western powers who have some colonies in Africa.
To be fair, Dr. 𝗀𝗃, Russia is accused of the very same thing, of propping up corrupt regimes on the African continent. In what way is Russia not a colonial power?
Russia cannot be a neo-colonial power for African countries. Our strategic culture is different.
In the meantime, Putin is facing a warrant of arrest by the International Criminal Court issued for Russia's abduction of Ukrainian children.
The International Criminal Court has issued warrants of arrest for Vladimir Putin.
This means that all signatories to the ICC would have to arrest Putin should he visit their countries. Leaders of founding BRICS member countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, were slated to attend the August BRICS summit in Gauteng in person, putting the South African government in a difficult position, given its stated reluctance to pounce on Putin.
In the last 2 weeks preceding this, the DA launching an application to have South Africa's obligations under the ICC recognized, i.e. that it would be forced to arrest Vladimir Putin if and when he arrived for the BRICS conference in August.
Before the application even got to open court, the papers were released publicly. Among them was President Ramaphosa's affidavit in which he made a startling argument. It's an explosive claim that an attempt to arrest Vladimir Putin in South Africa would be a declaration of war against Russia. This argument suggests that South Africa is motivated by fear and not principle. The court enforced the ICC ruling, obliging the South African government to commit unequivocally to seizing Putin should he put foot on South African soil. Meanwhile, in May this year, the US ambassador accused South Africa of selling weapons illegally to Russia, loading them secretly onto the sanctioned vessel, the Lady R. There is now a chance that we may lose a preferential trade deal with America called AGOA, doing heavy damage to the South African economy.
What would happen if you were to arrest Putin? Do you want AGOA or do you want peace? What is it that we want? We want peace.
At this pre-BRICS conference in Gauteng last week, the mood was upbeat in anticipation of a summit which some think may disrupt the world's existing power balances, according to the General Secretary of the SACP, 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀.
BRICS is an important platform in that it creates possibility towards a multipolar world system. It may actually even become more important in the long run than the United Nations.
As political parties met to prepare for the summit, President Ramaphosa announced that Putin isn't coming. There's a sense of relief that Ramaphosa was able to negotiate this compromise to allow BRICS to take place in August without incident. In fact, ANC spokesperson 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘆 sees it as a victory.
I think it is a victory for statesmanship. But I don't think it is just about our president. I think it is about our continent, and I think it is about the global south.
I think the people who really deserve the congratulations is the judiciary itself and the people within that legal environment who ensure that we have legal precedents that categorically state that we are obliged to arrest him.
Stop the war! Stop the war! Stop the war!
As the light falls outside the theater, the Ukraine Association is upbeat. In this side drama to their dreadful war, their arch enemy has been kept at bay.
Don't support Russian arms!